Hello everyone, Earl Henderson, Primordial Defense. Thank you for watching. I have another Monday quarterback video for you. I'm going to play the entirety of this video, and then I'll go back and talk about things that are going on to better explain what's going on and talk about things that I think were done right and or done wrong. Without further ado, here we go.
Good afternoon. I am Assistant Sheriff Lazaro Chavez, and I am here to brief you on additional details as we know them today about the officer-involved shooting that occurred on Tuesday, November 16th, 2021. This is officer-involved shooting number 9 for 2021. Non-fatal number 4. The same time last year, we were at OIS number 17 and non-fatal number 8. The officers involved are, the first officer is Jeffrey Burr. He's 34 years old and has been with LVMPD since 2009. In this incident, Officer Burr was armed with a Glock 17 9mm handgun equipped with a tactical light. The investigation revealed he fired 13 rounds during the incident. The second officer is Demario Simmons. He's 29 years old and has been with LVMPD since 2021. In this incident, Officer Simmons was armed with a Glock 17 9mm and was also equipped with a tactical light. The investigation revealed he fired 6 rounds during the incident. Both officers are assigned to the Community Policing Division at Northeast Area Command. The suspect is identified as Taveon Davidson. He's a 25-year-old male, 5'8", 178 pounds. He is pictured to my left on the screen. In this incident, Davidson was armed with a semi-automatic Springfield Hellcat 9mm handgun. The investigation revealed that he fired 1 round at our officers during this incident. And there's also a photo on the screen of the firearm that he was carrying. Davidson's charges include attempt murder on a police officer, 2 counts, shooting into an occupied structure, prohibited person in possession of a firearm, and carrying a concealed weapon. The details are as follows. On Tuesday, November 16th, 2021, LVMPD Dispatch Center received a call from a mobile home park reporting 2 suspicious males who were walking through the complex, and one of them was armed with a handgun. The male with the firearm was later identified as Taveon Davidson. Officer Burr and Simmons arrived at the mobile home park, observed Davidson walking towards the front of the entrance of the complex. Officer Burr engaged Davidson in a conversation and eventually asked him to face a parked car in order to conduct a weapons pat-down. Instead of complying with the officer's request, Davidson ran away from both officers. Both officers gave chase, and Officer Burr observed Davidson pull a firearm as he was running away. Officer Burr told Davidson several times to drop the gun, but Davidson ignored those commands and continued to run. During the foot pursuit, Davidson stopped and turned towards Officer Burr and fired 1 round at him. Both Officer Burr and Simmons returned fire, striking Davidson. Davidson continued to flee from the officers and jumped a small chain link fence, at which point he fell to the ground and surrendered. Additional officers arrived on scene, at which time Davidson was taken into custody without further incident. Davidson was provided first aid by the officers until paramedics arrived at the scene. He was then transported to UMC Trauma and treated for non-life-threatening injuries. Davidson has been booked in absentia for the aforementioned charges. I will now show you 2 body-worn camera videos of the officer-involved shooting.
Where are you headed to? Where are you headed to? Which one's your house? The first one? Can I talk to you for a minute? Come on over here. What's that? What's that?
That's what's unlocked.
Come.
Yes, sir.
All right. Come on over here. Face the car. Turn around. Let me make sure you don't have any weapons on you. Shoot. Better get on the ground. Drop the gun. Drop the gun. You better drop the gun. 444, shots fired, he's running northbound.
You'll see in this slow down version of the suspect crouching down and firing at the officer. There's a little better picture of it. This is the video from the second officer.
Let me make sure you don't have any weapons on you. 444, shots fired, he's running northbound.
Okay, this concludes the briefing. Are there any questions?
About how far was the suspect from the officers at the time that he seemed crouching?
I think that was about 24, 25 feet.
You say the suspect fired one round, correct?
Yes, he fired one round in that still picture. It shows him in the low ready position, and he's firing at the officer. You can actually see the smoke from the firearm as he shot at the officer. Yes, sir.
Was anybody inside the mobile homes that were kind of in the line of fire there? What kind of damage was done to those?
Good question. Yes, the round that was fired by the suspect actually struck a trailer that's directly behind the officer, and there was a person inside.
What about the ones that were in the behind the suspect?
The ones behind the suspect, there was a trash can and I think an eave at the very top of the trailer up there that was struck. Any other questions? All right.
It was after the shooting that he continued to run and jump over a fence, right?
Yes, after the shooting, this is him running away after the shooting.
Okay. And you said there was a call for 2 suspicious males. What happened with that second male?
The second male, we did arrest a second person, but we still are not completely sure if he was the one that was involved in this event. We're still in the process of interviewing witnesses, and he's not being cooperative.
The non-life-threatening injuries, were they due to the fall? Were they due to the shots fired? Were they did both? How many times was he hit?
The non-life-threatening injuries were from gunshots that he received, yes.
Do we know if Davidson lived in the area? We had the officer say, what home are you going to?
Yes, Mr. Davidson was connected to trailer number 1, which was nearest the entrance to the park.
Any priors for him at all?
We'll release that information at the conclusion of the interview here, and you'll all be provided with that.
They said suspicious activity. He didn't live in that trailer park. Did you get details as to what suspicious activity the callers were?
Yes, the suspicious activity was that the male was walking through the complex holding a firearm. So this is an extraordinary display of bravery by our officers, and I want to make sure we pointed that out. Unfortunately, we continue to deal with this sort of violence against police officers across the country and certainly here in Las Vegas. And we were able to apprehend this suspect safely before he was able to hurt anybody in the complex. So thank you all for your time, and if you have any other questions, you can contact the CIO.
All right, let's get into it.
The first one? Can I talk to you for a minute? Come on over here. What's that? What's that? Come.
Yes, sir.
All right. Come on over here. Face the car. Turn around. Let me make sure you don't have any weapons on you. Come on over here. Face the car. Turn around. Let me make sure you don't have any weapons on you. Shoot. You better get on the ground. Drop the gun. Drop the gun. You better drop the gun. .444 shots fired. He's running northbound.
You'll see in this slow down version of the suspect crouching down and firing at the officer. There's a little better picture of it. This is the video from the second officer.
Let me make sure you don't have any weapons. Four shots fired. He's running northbound.
Okay, this concludes the.
So the footage is very short. For the first one here.
You'll see in this slow down version of.
So there's this fence over here that he goes over and then collapses. So they don't show the rest of the footage. It's very short in nature. We can see in this first interaction with this guy, you can tell based off his body language and the way he's responding, he's deceptive.
Which one's your house? The first one? Can I talk to you for a minute? Come on over here. What's that? What's that? Come.
Yes, sir.
All right. Come on over here. Face the car. Turn around. Let me make sure you don't have any weapons on you. Shoot. You better get on the ground. Drop the gun. Drop the gun. You better drop the gun.
So he fires multiple rounds here at the beginning. And then, interestingly enough, as this guy goes this way, he continues firing. Watch the side of the van here. Watch the windows. He fucking fires right through those glass windows at this guy.
444 shots fired. He's running northbound. Drop the gun. You better drop the gun. 444 shots.
I mean, it's hard to tell from the camera angle. You can never tell what a person can see with their eyes just from a camera view. But it's possible that this officer could see clearly through the glass that there's no one there, and that he could still see the target through the glass, and decided to fire through the glass at him.
Four shots fired. He's running northbound. Four shots fired. He's running northbound.
Okay, this concludes the briefing. Are there any questions?
About how far was the
Shots fired. He's running.
So I'm just not the biggest fan of shooting through the van like that. Glass has an effect on bullets. It can cause them to change their trajectory and go off. So firing through the glass like that, I think, it's not worthwhile. Now, if this guy was using the van as cover and was hiding behind it, then by all means, you shoot through the cover to them. But with this guy running the way he was and then traversing in behind that van, too much of a risk. Someone could have been in that van. There's a surprising number of people who just hang out in their car, even outside their house. I mean, just think about when you pull up to the house sometimes. I mean, how long do you sometimes linger in the driveway just on your phone? A lot of people will do that. And this quick of a scenario of it, the gunfight happening, boom, right then, I don't even know if this guy would have had the ability to process whether or not there was someone in that van. So I'm not totally happy with him just traversing from right to left and continuously firing and firing through that van. Um, I have no problem with him firing at this guy as he's running. No problem with that whatsoever. I even have no problem with this guy having his back turned and him shooting at him. No issue with that whatsoever. Uh, but I'm not the biggest fan of him traversing from right to left, just pivoting and then continuously firing through the glass windows of this van at this guy. Um, it probably would have been better suited for him and everyone else involved, even if there was people in this van, to fire, pause, and then resume firing right here. Now, the issue of a pistol being used for this, of course, there's always going to be misses with pistols and whatnot, and so I think there were some rounds that probably went into this trailer. And manufactured homes do not have uh, some of the greatest construction going on. Um, Even for a normal house, interior walls a bullet can go through very easily. But for exterior of a trailer, um, I mean, you could be standing right here, fire through this wall and then this wall, and it go through and then hit this over here with certain rounds. There's not much to the construction of a mobile home. So if you're these guys, they're knowingly responding to a call involving a person with a gun. And I've always said before, if you're going to a call where there's guns being involved, then when you get out, you should have a rifle out instead of dealing with just a pistol. And I think in this scenario, had he got his rifle out at the beginning and then chased after this guy, and this dude turned around and pointed that gun at him and shot. At the very beginning of this, if he had a rifle out and popped his ass with a rifle here at the front of the car, I think that
You better drop the gun!
I think it would have been a hell of a lot different outcome. I think he would have dropped right in here and wouldn't have made it very far. And I think that the accuracy issue would have been a lot better. I don't think he would have been able to run like this if he had initially got out with a rifle or a shotgun.
444 shots fired, he's ready.
I think it probably would have been better if he started, giving chase to this guy at this point. But he didn't. But even right in here, let's say his first rounds that he fired with rifle were ineffective. Right here, there's just no way that you could miss. Or shotgun, same thing. So I think that I don't even think, like I said before, I don't even think with a long gun this guy would have made it this far. I think he would have been dropped right then and there. So a long gun would have been better. But even if nothing was effective right here, definitely right in here, I think the guy would have been very easily dropped with a long gun. and would have resolved the problem right then and there. No issue of him jumping fence and continuing on and shooting at more people, or potentially shooting at more people.
444 shots fired. He's running northbound.
Now he starts to move after he says that, but I think he could have started moving a lot sooner.
We'll see in this.
Make sure you don't have any weapons.
So he has to be right about in here.
Four shots fired. He's running northbound.
Now, whether he's hitting him or not, I'm not really sure. I believe they said one. I think this is the guy who fired the least amount of rounds. I think he fired 6. The other guy, I believe, was 13 rounds fired. But they don't elaborate and talk about how many times this guy was actually hit. When he's running, I think he's been hit right here, wherever he's holding his hand. Or that could just be him running and his arm coming back for the run. But, yeah, that's what it was. His arm's back for the run. So no idea how many times this guy's been shot. Could be once or twice. I don't think that he has, all 13 rounds in him from the first guy and all 6 from the second guy. If he did, I don't think he would have been surviving this ordeal. But obviously some hit him, but not all of them. And when you think about the rounds fired versus how many hit him, that leaves a lot of missed rounds in many cases. And that is a common thing with officer-involved shootings all across the country. Even shootings for self-defense with regular people and security officers. There are misses in gunfights. That's just the nature of the beast when you're dealing with very life or death dynamic scenarios. Lots of moving pieces. Your physiological and psychological changes that occur in a fight are well documented, and that can have an impact on a person's ability to perform. That, coupled with training, or in some cases a lack thereof, can result in there being misses in a gunfight. Now, can you take a person who's a really great shot and scores really good on marksmanship and still miss in a gunfight? Absolutely, because that marksmanship stuff is done on a shooting range where the targets don't shoot back. So, although there is training to make a person more proficient and more accurate, it's still not always going to be 100%. You can make things better with force-on-force training, using marking cartridges and whatnot, stress inoculate the people, have those psychological and physiological changes, have less of an impact on their ability through repeated exposures through similar scenarios. But there's still going to be misses to some degree. But we can reduce those misses with good training. Now, I don't know what kind of training these guys have had. They've obviously had some block of firearms training through the academy process, but beyond that, I don't know what their background is. But just know that there are misses, and although it's it's not a popular thing to talk about or to, I guess, acknowledge, but it happens, and there's no 100% way around that. Misses are going to happen, and as I alluded to earlier, I think that if they had gotten a long gun out, I really don't think this guy would have made it to the point where he made it at over here. I think a shotgun blast would have done a pretty good job in stopping the threat and preventing him from even making it this far. I think he would have dropped pretty close to where he got hit at, even with a rifle. I think it would have been a pretty sure bet that it would have ended the fight a lot sooner. Not much else to talk about in this video. The video footage is very short, doesn't show a whole lot, but really the only two negative things, all I have to say about this is they went to a gun call and didn't get their rifles out, and then him shooting through the van the way he did. Just wasn't the biggest fan of shooting through the van.
There's a little better picture of it.
If you like what you hear and see, go ahead and give me a like and a share. If you have not already, hit that subscribe button and stay tuned for more Monday quarterback videos. Earl Henderson, Primordial Defense, thank you for watching.